thank you, Kia, and all the officers and members of the Executive Committee for bestowing this great honor upon me. I am deeply humbled. Fate. Fate is truly a mysterious force. In 2004, I was a committee member of the then state workers' comp section, and the late Steve Jimenez was the chair that year. He pulled me aside and told me of this idea he had to start an awards program. He asked me to make it happen, and I was there when the first awards were presented in 2005. I actually presented Applicant's Attorney of the Year Award to Art Johnson. Never in my wildest dreams could I imagine I would ever be presented with an award, much less the Lifetime Achievement Award. Fate and Steve must be quite amused at this very moment. While 30 years in comp may not seem like a lifetime to many of you present, my involvement in comp did not begin when I became an attorney 30 years ago. My involvement in comp began when I was about 8 years old. And fate dictated that my dad would get injured at work, and that his union refer him to an attorney who did a terrible job of representing my dad. He was later disbarred. I knew it, even as a kid, interpreting for my dad at medical appointments and in navigating the system on my own, that Dad was not being properly represented. Fate would have me decide as a child that I wanted to grow up and represent injured workers the way I thought my dad should be represented. I was an undergrad by the time my dad's case finally came to trial before the Honorable Duncan Davidson in San Jose. I was so impressed with the trial judge that day that I changed my mind and decided I prefer to be a comp judge rather than a comp lawyer. Fate intervened again days after I received my bar results, when I received a call from my law school dean informing me that a recent alum had been killed in a plane crash, and the attorney she was working for needed to hire 2 new associates to take over her caseload. The dean, on her own, had scheduled interviews for a number of us, assuming we'd be interested in the position. I thought, well, why not? I didn't know anything about it other than the dean had scheduled an interview. I attended the interview and I was hired as an applicant's attorney before ever getting sworn in. Fate was insistent that I be in comp. As I began my practice as an applicant's attorney, I realized my dad's trial judge was still on the bench. We became friends, and I told him he had inspired me a dozen years before, and that I wanted to be a comp judge. We made a pact then that when he retired, I would take his place. Of course, civil service doesn't work that way, but it was our little running joke. In 2001, Judge Davidson retired, and I applied for the position. I brazenly told the interview panel of my pact with Judge Davidson, and they had a good laugh over it. Well, fate saw to it that I was offered the position. And so 24 years ago, almost to the day, I replaced my dad's trial judge. And until the San Jose District Office moved last year, I presided in the courtroom where my dad's trial was held. So lifetime, for me, really does mean lifetime, since I've been involved in comp since I was only 8 years old. I have tried over 1,300 cases in my 24 years as judge. Some cases more memorable than others. Mr. Whitcock, I'm so sorry. It's all my fault. I can never apologize enough. He knows what I'm talking about. Like the trial I conducted in Oregon over a 1-week period as an ADA accommodation. The injured worker was a vent-dependent quadriplegic and had requested that the trial be held in Oregon. We were all shipped up to Oregon. The trial was held in a hotel ballroom, much like this, with the claims adjuster and the home health care provider coming to blows in the parking lot. Or the case with the pro-per injured worker who swore under penalty of perjury that I was the devil incarnate. While proud of the body of work I lead as I retire in a few weeks, there is one case that stands out in my mind, which is the case that's cited in the program. In 2014, I tried a case in which the employer was illegally uninsured. Shortly before trial, the injured worker was detained by Homeland Security and deported. The injured worker requested permission to appear at trial via Skype at his own expense. I could find no case law on point. The uninsured employer somewhat gleefully came to court demanding the case be dismissed as the injured worker could not physically appear for trial, that I had no authority to allow a remote appearance, and asserting that allowing the injured worker to maintain his case would reward him for breaking federal U.S. immigration laws. I allowed the case to go forward, and I allowed the injured worker to testify via Skype. The employer filed for reconsideration and lost, and took a writ, which was denied in 2015. The case was quickly forgotten until 2020, when the world came to a sudden stop, and the question of remote appearances was raised on a more global basis. My little case was cited, in part, as authority for remote appearances, something, as you all know, that continues to this day. So while you're sitting in your office being thankful that you don't have to sit in traffic to go to the district offices, you're welcome. And in the world we live in today, where deportations are in the news just about daily, and we as judges receive instructions on how to behave if and when ICE comes into our courtrooms, it is comforting to know that there is case law on point on whether an injured worker who has been deported has the right to pursue their case. So while I never got to write one of those decisions that are cited daily, like Alvarez, Escobedo, or Kite, I did get to write a decision that I am quite proud of. I want to acknowledge some very special people here tonight. My son Jonathan, my daughter Isabel and her wife Jody, my partner Bob, my former law firm staff Maribel, my friend and former hearing rep Maria, my judicial sister, Judge Norma Acosta from the San Jose District Office, and my crew, my friends from junior high and high school, who are my constant companions, my chosen siblings, my fellow Overfelt Royals, Celia, Grace, Maria, Henry, Anthony, and Reuben. Thank you all for joining me here tonight. Your love and friendship has seen me through it all. Thank you again, CLA, for this great honor. And thank you, Fate, for being so generous to me. Good night.